Hello, everybody. My name's Milan Starcic. Welcome to Freedom Rising, a podcast dedicated to empowering individuals on the journey to personal growth, lasting serenity, and freedom from addiction. Tune in and join the movement. Your journey to freedom starts here. We neither represent, promote, or demote any 12-step program or organization. We are merely souls on the path of recovery with the desire to expand our lives and experiences and share them with you. Hello, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to the 78th Recovery Freedom Rising podcast. Can't even believe we're this far into it. I'm Milan Starcic with co-host Bryant W. Today's topic is willingness. Can you share what this means to you, Bryant, and why you're happy to discuss this topic today?
Thank you for the introduction, and I'm really grateful and happy to be here with you. The necessity of, again, another word that we learn that has much more meaning than it ever did before, at least for myself. When I first met my sponsor, he said to me, "Are you willing to go to any length?" And again, he said, "Do you want what I have?" was another one of his lines. And these were things that it would be very easy to say yes to, but you, again, don't really actually know what this is alluding to, or the reality of what this might look like, or the necessity of how important it is to, I guess, maintaining sobriety, or I guess the difference between taking a break and making this a new way of living. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And so basically it's so cool because the last time we spoke, we talked about sort of like how we can maybe look back on the past and see it as an asset rather than this horrible story about ourselves. And what was required for me to become willing is actually, I always say, partially embarrassing, but also very eye-opening of what we're dealing with here. You know what I'm saying? So it brings a little bit of humility, but it also really highlights how serious, how deadly, and how confusing this disease can be for people that are suffering from it. So what it required for me to become willing to do what was actually necessary to find the solution is mind-blowing. And so I really like the word and the I guess the fact of what this actually looks like. Yeah.
I love that. You know, I wholeheartedly agree with every aspect of that you said, and they always talk about the gift of desperation, and rock bottom, and honestly, without that, my life wouldn't have changed. It wouldn't have pivoted from unwillingness to fight my addiction, or like just an inability to see that willingness made a difference, even, like until I was introduced to the program, I didn't see a way out. Like I honestly just saw myself tapering health wise to the end.
Yeah.
Like it really was like, there wasn't like, maybe after like 37 years, I'm going to find my own solution. Like that hope was way down. And, after, my own personal health event, it really ended up being like I was, like they say in one of the readings at the meetings, like that, with honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness, we are well on our way.
Yeah.
And like those are the three things that, they don't mention them because it's a maybe.
Yeah.
And so I was open-minded to whatever you had going on.
Yeah.
And I was willing to change that one thing that would save my life. And that one thing was everything. you know,
Yeah.
like, and I'm still in the process of, transitioning from my old set of clothes to my new set of clothes. I keep
Yeah.
putting on these pants and I'm like, they just don't fit right. And I got to keep working at it, and
Yeah.
it's, and then I'm like, whoa, put on the shirt and I'm like, whoa, little two nipples. But, like it still is work in progress forever,
Yeah.
but, a thing about willingness is, um, I did that podcast with Scotty on discipline. And
Yeah.
I think that's when you were officially named Ice Storm. And, but in
Yeah.
that, one of Scotty's quotes, was like basically that discipline leads, to freedom. True freedom lies in living a disciplined life. And,
I agree.
and you have to have willingness to implement discipline in your life. You have to have willingness. So, it is like
Ah,
through that repeated, through that perseverance and willingness to incite discipline, it frees our mind in so many moments to not have the noise of shoulda, woulda, coulda going on because you just
oh,
did what you were supposed to do. And so in that
well said.
moment, you could execute what you're supposed to do. Before it, you're just doing what is at that point. You're not even worrying about what's coming up because your discipline is going to put you in the position to execute it. And then afterwards, you're not thinking with regrets. So there's so much mental freedom that comes from willingness leading into discipline. And I'm going to leave
Yeah.
my intro there, and then I'm going to start with a question for you. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, are you answering this as Mr. Storm, BW, or Ice Baby? Okay. We can help a member with whom we disagree find the words to make their point. Our willingness to hear each other and help each other in service in this way reaffirms our understanding that we aren't out to gain anything from another's recovery except gratitude in seeing each other recover. Have you had an opportunity like this in recovery to display this sort of willingness?
I don't do this often, but can you please read that to me one more time?
I would love to. I would
Thank you.
love to. Yeah,
Thank you.
so I believe that I'm rereading to Ice Baby.
I think you're right.
Okay, we can help another member with whom we disagree find the words to make their point. Our willingness to hear each other and help each other in service in this way reaffirms our understanding that we aren't out to gain anything from another's recovery except gratitude in seeing each other recover. Have you had the opportunity have you had an opportunity like this in recovery to display this sort of willingness?
Oh, yeah. Very much. Something comes to mind. The thing that comes to mind the most is that um, two things. The solution has its own wisdom, and the disease has its own wisdom. And so,
Okay.
because of these two facts, you can stay out of it, and it will still find its way. Because, and it's amazing that we're talking about willingness because that's why I like that self importance being right sized. Coming back to a very like healthy place, hopefully, where your limitations, when to back off, when to persevere, when to fight for someone else, when to fight for yourself, when to protect yourself. So I've
Now,
had
just for a newcomer, are you referring to that we can't control people, places, or things there?
essentially, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, well said. That's a good way of looking at it. To simplify it, the one of the most interesting experiences I ever had was, well, I guess looking at my own journey, but I was working with someone one time and they had just come out of a treatment center. And as we know, treatment centers produce and, or sorry, not produce, provide questions and different ways of working through a step process. But I was taught the way I was taught, having not gone to one. And I was told to, if I'm going to take someone through it, do it the way it was done with you. Obviously, we're all a little different, but I had to trust my instinct at that point in time that because this had been shown to me and it was working for me, that I should probably present it to this individual the way I had been shown. And it had nothing to do with disagreeing with the process. It was just that I was unfamiliar with that specific way, and it would be wrong for me to like try to do it in a way I had not been shown, as well as veer away from something that was working for me. So I said, if you want to work with me, I'm going to do it the way that I was shown. And this individual couldn't handle that. They thought that I was wrong. They said, you know, like I have to humbly leave, like anyway. And apparently, this individual went to like some elders and were like, "This guy's trying to do this way and this way," and apparently they all said like, "You should listen to this guy. Like he's probably not only someone that might be able to help you, but he's doing what he probably thinks is right." And it wasn't about being right, which is like what your whole question's about. It was just being honest about what has worked for myself. But that was a really, really good, I think, example of maybe what you're talking about. I think that later on he returned. We ended up meeting in a different way, and he sort of humbly said, like, you know, I think I was wrong back there, and it doesn't really matter. But in that moment, I was able to trust what I had been shown, trust that this gentleman would find his way, that the disease would work the way the disease works, and the solution would work the way the solution works. And it wasn't about being right. It was about trusting my preparedness to do something that I had been shown that worked for me. So maybe that's a good example of that. I think
I love it.
maybe.
You know what? This okay. We've stopped trying to answer the questions perfectly. I think by this
Oh
point in our
yeah.
journey, so
Oh yeah.
it's really like I was happy for you to share that, and I like essentially I do believe that it did answer that question in a manner of speaking. Like I'm going to read the question again and I'm going to take a run at it. We can
Yeah.
help a member with whom we disagree find the words to make their point. Our willingness to hear each other and help each other in service in this way reaffirms our understanding that we aren't out to gain anything from another's recovery except gratitude in seeing each other recover. Have you had an
Yeah.
opportunity like this in recovery to display this sort of willingness? So, what
Yeah.
comes to my mind for myself is actually on the opposite end of the table of a moment with my sponsor, or, even more than one moment. There's
Mhm.
times I think where we go to our sponsor with a problem where I have, and secretly somewhere in the ego side of me is like, please let him be a yes man and tell him I'm right with my idea, and
Yeah.
it's not the case. Like if I was right, I probably wouldn't even have the question, but when I know I'm not right about something and I'm asking the question, hoping for him to say I'm right. Those are
No doubt.
generally the moments I'm furthest off the path of reality, like, and that's probably, when the voice of my addiction is actually rearing its ugly head, and trying to lead me astray on that. And so I've had a few times with my sponsor, where I like that you brought up humility because, it's like I have to eat a little bit of humble pie and be like, no,
Oh
I
yeah.
was way off. I wasn't even in the zone. And and that's okay to be way off if I'm willing to grow. Like
Yes.
sometimes that honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness, they're wrapped up in a response every single
Yes.
time. Am I being honest with myself about what my intentions are or what my desired outcome is from something? Do I even have a desired outcome? And then open mindedness, like, am I willing to pivot? Am I willing to pivot away from my desired, outcome of this situation? And then the willingness is like willingness to do the work so that next time maybe I'm not even thinking of that the same way,
Yeah.
you know? And
Love that.
and it's
That
been
can
it's
be.
it's been over and over, like where I thought, on my second set a step, like my second step five, I was like, oh yeah, this is my fear, this is my part, blah blah blah. And my sponsor was like, what about this? And I was like, oh. And so it shows that I am still hiding stuff from myself. It
This is
shows
very
it
possible.
shows that even with the tools and even on my second round into these steps, there's still stuff that I'm like, I think it looks like that. I think it looks like
Oh
that.
yeah.
I think it looks like that. And so therefore, Milan's a pretty good guy. Like
Yeah.
and it's
Well,
like, I might have
let's
just
be
been a
honest
turd
here.
ball, but I'm a
Great guy.
justified turd.
It's so amazing. So, yeah. Oh,
You can call me
man,
JT. JT, the justified turd.
that you're basically succumbing to like a death of some kind of a version of yourself that just isn't working, and it's very hard to let go sometimes, and
Yeah, but it's
it
like,
happens.
do you ever gone fishing when you're a kid and you put that fish in the back of the canoe or the paddle boat and it flips like crazy when you take it out of the water? And then you're like half an hour later, you're like, oh, that fish is dead. And it goes funk and flips right out of the canoe.
Oh yeah.
Like, when you were convinced that thing was a goner. And that's kind of what addiction's like. It'll be the dead fish in the boat till it fucking flips your whole canoe over.
That's hilarious. Yeah, dude. No, it's got a little life left in it. I guarantee it. Yeah.
No, like it'll be like possum.
Yeah, yeah. I refer to it as a sleeping dragon and just like try really hard not to wake it up, Like it's something.
Never trust a fart. Okay, you got a question for me?
Yeah. So
Ah, Monday, fun day.
it is. Okay, so I said how did how did admitting or did admitting that you are powerless lead to willingness?
Whoa. Okay.
Like, was admitting powerlessness a gate or a door that helped you walk into willingness, do you think?
Well, okay. I think that the very admission was a monster act of willingness to me. Like I
Okay.
didn't even see it. I was so broken that I was fully okay with it. But like I had said in previous episodes, like I feel like there was a 17-year period for me where I was like, on the like watch me be powerful phase where it was like, quitting only on weekends, only here, okay, only on special occasions, I'm only
Yeah.
drinking beer, blah blah blah. Like things like, attempted control that always ended up with a progression in my illness. So, and I always knew the second I said I was an addict, there was going to be no going back. Like I couldn't be like, yeah, I know. I was just kidding the other day when I said I
Yeah, that
was
was
an
a rough
addict.
day.
Yeah, like,
Mhm.
but really, really, no, no, I got this thing. This thing's but like, so I knew inside myself, just with the kind of person I am, that the second that sentence came out, like me and my wife, like my wife was never going to be like, hey, yeah, it was cool you were an addict last week, this week let's go party. Like that wasn't ever going to
Yeah.
happen, and it
So
wasn't going to
glad you're
happen in
better.
my head either. And so I feel that when I rolled in when I rolled in my dirty hot messness into options, I was like already willing, and I was ready to do whatever it took. Like I remember, young Gabriel, he's like, dude, he's like, you were so willing. He's like, you were so willing. It was like, you were like, throw a sentence at me and I'll get to work all the time.
Yeah, you're pretty stoked.
And it wasn't, so it was, that happened before the first step for me, as more than it happened after that first step. I mean,
I'm happy to hear
yeah,
that.
yep. I think my willingness came from the moment of me dying and coming back. That was my
Okay.
change in willingness. And if I said it was
That makes
after,
sense.
If I said it was after step one, I would be really negating how I felt before I got there.
That's really interesting because I think it could go both ways. I think there's always a little bit of it in the process at any stage, but that's very interesting.
But I would like to say, though, I would like to say that the longer I'm in the program,
Uh,
um, I feel like the further I am away from unwillingness. You know,
that's
like
really, I think
I
that's
haven't, I don't feel like I hit a real point of complacency. I think I've hit some points where I've gone in the wrong direction and I'm in the process of course correcting just because that's the kind of guy I am. But, you know, like adding things to my life like this podcast, if anything, it's like increased my willingness because I'm constantly learning from these people that I really respect and share these programs with about, you know, things maybe I haven't done, maybe I need to do, different ways of looking at it. Like ultimately, bring me some serenity and we'll talk.
yeah, yeah, that's awesome.
And
That's
you?
very interesting. Yeah, so I had only partial willingness prior to investigation and full knowledge of what I was dealing with, which came with the package I shared at the beginning, which was the continual total devastation and inability to change this cycle, you know, like it was a partial admittance prior to being shown. Like no one ever read to me or told me that this whole thing, like the addiction and the craving in the mind and how that all works together. And like once I had the knowledge, I still remember asking one of my first questions was like, well, if I do all this work and I clean all this up and I make amends and I feel better about my life, well, then I'd be able to drink differently. And he was just like, he's like, that's the thing right there, already trying to find his way back into your life. Like I thought, if I like settled down and I dealt with some of these like problems of mine that I would gravitate to drinking the way I used to. And that's how wild it is. So until I had the full knowledge of what I was actually dealing with and then saw cunning, baffling, powerful, this thing truly is, that's when I became fully willing. I was like, okay, this isn't a joke. And I'm going to have to do more than take a break. I'm going to have to do more than just go to a few meetings. I'm going to have to do more than just tell this guy what he wants to hear. I'm going to have to do more than just try to get my old girlfriend back. I'm going to have to do a lot more than I thought, you
Yeah.
know?
Oh, I do know. I
Like
remember
scream it, man. Like
when
this is
when I
wild.
signed up for options, I was
Yeah.
like, okay, they're going to teach me how to go to a party and have fun not
Yeah.
drinking. Like I
And
was literally looking for the like substance-free party skills.
yeah,
like, like that's how twisted it was. It was still like my
insanity.
addiction still had me going to every party in town.
Yeah. And that's why this thing is so wild.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like sometimes I'm almost like shocked. Like it makes me quite sad if I'm honest about how kind of sad and horrible this fact is for anyone who has it in their life or anyone who loves someone that has this in their life. Like we get hyped up because we're on the right train, but like it's serious business.
Oh, there's people dying all the time. Like all
That
the
makes me
time.
very sad. Yeah.
And
So yeah,
that's one of the reasons why I felt the need to show the Freedom Rising in this podcast. Because I want other people out there who are suffering, to know that there is another side and that there's another side where people are happy. Like I just never saw a shining example of sobriety in my life
yeah,
ever. Because
that's a good
I
point.
didn't even know a sober person till my late 30s. Not one.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
how unicorn-ish is that? So I never saw a group of straight people having fun.
No.
Never ever did I see a group of straight people having fun unless they were in kindergarten. Like, you know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, it's true. I remember mourning the loss of my grade six self. Like I'd
yeah,
show up to school with the baseball glove, and like one summer later, I'm like putting dime bags in my sock at school and like hiding shit, and like everything
yeah,
just got weird.
yep. And that was the admission to coolness is to change yourself.
You basically had to like reject who you were to become something that you never could be, and the wind just started pushing you along. Yeah,
Yep. I
crazy.
I 100% agree. Okay, I'm going to ask you another question.
Okay.
We start to recognize that each of us will get what we need if both of us come to the relationship with an attitude of willingness and a belief that when we allow our unity to be a priority, we can turn the results over to a power greater than ourselves. How has willingness helped you get past some of your self centered actions?
I was so lucky. Like the guy that helped me was, I almost, I don't even know what words I would use to describe him. He was so serious about this. Like
Committed. How
it
about
was so cool.
disciplined? How about
Yeah,
disciplined?
it was wild and
Maybe he was willing.
extremely. And like I just really appreciate that guy. He didn't give a shit about what I wanted to like throw in there. He was just like, I never had someone, I don't know, I guess like support me and tear me down at the same time like that. Like I was just like, oh my God. Like he basically was like, yeah, it was so cool. I got to get back to the question here. So
No, you don't. No, whoa, 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 whoa. No, you don't. Just go on your tangent
here I
and
go
take us
again.
around the block.
Nice baby trying to take it back again. Um, the if it hadn't been for, luckily for me, I was still impressionable and I was still under the influence of requiring like this person to think that I was doing things a certain way in order to be approved by him. And it worked in my favor and against me until I really realized what that thing was in my life, where where essentially a lot of my motives were based on getting connection and approval from other people. I think it's very normal, but like it's kind of almost like ugh now. I'm just like, gosh, how much this thing had its talents in my life. But if it hadn't been for the consistency of the discipline and the accountability that I seem to create with this person, I think I would have been lost. There's like a few things. There's, I guess they're all equivalent, but like going to a meeting, admitting, admitting, admitting powerlessness. When this guy told me that I was the problem and nobody was thinking about me, I was like, oh my. And those will always stand out as two of the best things that I ever had to hear because it really showed me not only a fact of my life that actually leads to freedom, but it also showed me so clearly how these two misunderstood aspects of myself were controlling my life. Like I was the problem. Nobody
Yep.
hurt me more than I hurt me. Nobody has ever hurt me more than I've hurt me. Whoa. And if I want people to respect me, I probably should start respecting myself. And then maybe if I respect myself, it won't matter if you respect me. And then maybe I won't worry about whether you care, you're thinking about me or talking about me. Like maybe I can just drop all this shit and like stop destroying my life and trying to fit into places I don't fit in.
I love
Maybe
that.
it's okay to just be okay. like
Yeah.
like like maybe stop trying to be so important. It's like, and it's not a criticism. I think it's a natural instinct. They talk about the social instinct. There's some powerful shit going on there. I've said a few shits today. It feels nice. Um,
Yeah.
I think I'm in
That's
one of
what
those like,
Ice Baby's got some lip.
yeah, yeah, little. I just can't believe how much this stuff runs the lives of many of us, right? Like, I had the most amazing time with my sister yesterday, and like we're different, but like I've been back here for a little while now, and like having these really like unique experiences that I didn't have as much of over the last decade. A lot of vulnerability and change happening for each other, and like her openness and willingness to share some of her own struggles, but also strength. And then we were talking about spirituality, and like we see very differently on that. But this time around, she actually like added some insights about like little things she looks for out there for signs and things. And I'm like, I didn't know you had that. Like, and she shared a few things, and we like cried together. And it's like, that's the good stuff, man. Like that vulnerability, that like not taking the guard down and stop trying to present ourselves to each other as these like people that have it all together. It's like we don't. And it actually creates this amazing chance to actually meet each other where we've actually always wanted to meet, which is genuinely, authentically, and openly. And that's what this process has done for me. Before this gentleman tore me down and helped me build myself back up, I I was not able to see what I needed to see. So you got a version of me that led to addiction.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
which is a broken version of someone. I don't like the word broken, but you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean. Okay, I'm going to answer this one now.
Yeah.
We start to recognize that each of us will get what we need if both of us come to the relationship with an attitude of willingness and a belief that when we allow our unity to be a priority, we can turn the results over to a power greater than ourselves. How has willingness helped you get past some of your self centered actions? Well, like, you know, first of all, I didn't think I was self centered. I was so self centered. I didn't
Oh, I
think I
like
was
how
self
you.
centered.
Yeah. Just so you know, you have a great talent at like opening things well. Like that alone is like really important. Just to clarify that, I
Well,
didn't know I was self-centered. That's
I
crazy.
remember, okay, so I moved out west in 1995,
Yeah.
and that was, it should have shown me how self centered I was, but it didn't. It humbled me. Okay, I came out. We were out on Cortez Island for 8 months, and then my parents gave my sister and I a piece of property outside of Oshawa, the last of my grandfather's farmland. And I swear it was like a carrot for me to come back to Ontario, so I wouldn't leave forever,
Okay.
right? And
Yeah.
I went back and built a place on this property, and so it worked. But in that time I was gone, I thought the world was going to like shut down with family and friends without me being around. And like after like 6 months, I realized they don't give a shit. Like their life just goes on. Their life just rolls on. Like honestly, I remember thinking like whether I'm alive or dead, like I'm actually much less significant in these people's lives than they are in mine right now. In fact,
Right.
and and that should have been like, are you being self-centered? But no, it was just like, oh, that then I threw myself a pity party about my insignificance, like
Ah, this
which
is it.
which
Yes,
is which
that's
which
it.
which is another form of pride, which is just another self-centered action.
It's it. Yeah, that's it.
And so, like for me, it was it was really it's still going on. Like there are still things to this day, over 18 months into my program, where it's just being revealed to me now that that's a self-centered action. And
Oh
and
man.
it's amazing the layers of self-protection we can put in front of the ego. And like an ego-driven life offers no room for the higher power to be in
It
charge.
does not. Well
It like
said.
there's no room for it because there can only be one driver. You know, there can only be one driver. It's not like, hey, I got this side of the road, you got that. Let's just not go in the ditch. It's not.
Yeah.
It's like whoever's got the wheel is the one keeping it on the road. And
Yeah.
so, for me, it's like using tools like that Harry God box. Using tools like that Harry God box because it creates a visual representation of what I'm not allowed to hold
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
And I need that. Like I don't even, like as much as I want to grasp every aspect of giving my will away, it's like they're still like, but right now I just need to hold on to it a little bit because I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure God can pull me through on this one. Like I need to have a few strings here. Like God doesn't know we need to go right at this corner. It's like, and then it's like, we go left, and I'm like, oh, I was never supposed to go right. You know?
God, it's so terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I feel like this one for me, like I have a great willingness to try and change, but
That's amazing.
I'm still struggling with the honesty and humility to see where it's me.
Okay. That's
Like
amazing.
and
But
it's
that's
the
amazing
truth.
because, like, think about that awareness though. That didn't even exist. I mean, a year and a half ago, you said you didn't even know you were self-centered. So to
Yeah.
now see like a couple of the hidden spots or like just how cunning it
Yeah.
really is, that's pretty neat. But
I
of
re-
course, we want it gone forever because we want things to go well. We want to help everybody. We never want to feel uncomfortable again. We want to be, like,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. I love you. Okay, you got a question for me, Mr. Ice Baby?
I have a
Walter
few.
Willingsmore is willing to respond. You can call me Wally.
Wally,
Wally Wills.
the wilt. Um, what? What's there? I don't know which one to do first.
Just pick him.
Okay, this is pretty simple. Maybe we'll quick. I think the answer anyway. Was there a step that you were temporarily unwilling to do, or that you like sort of were like,
Well, like honestly, the I didn't fully understand step 3, the turning my
yeah,
will over. Like and that one was a struggle, like another young Gabriel came and was like, "Hey man, just live by the principles. If you're living by all those principles, there's a good chance you're in God's will." And and to be honest, to someone else who's new out there and you're confused as I was, just get a good list of spiritual principles and don't live against any of it. Any of it. Like if you sneakily live against one, like if you're doing everything but you're dishonest, you're probably actually not even doing the other ones. Like, anyway, yeah. So for me, it really was step 3. And I mean, I remember though, like before I was even anywhere near step 12, I remember looking at step 12 and being like, man, I can't even fucking help myself right now. How am I going to help
yeah,
others? Like, I remember just feeling like incapable. I wasn't unwilling to do it, but I
that's
definitely just
relatable.
wasn't ready to be there.
That's very relatable. Yeah,
Like they're in the steps are in an order for a reason. Like I
I
had this guy shared at a meeting I was at the other night, and he's like, yeah, he's like, the first few times I was like, he's like, I would skip around the steps and kind of do whatever order I wanted them in. And, and he's like, I relapsed all the time.
yeah, yeah.
And this is the first time that I actually just did them all in order. And, there's a reason for their order. There is. And if you know, even if we can't see it right off the bat, there is a method to the madness. There's like
Definitely.
everything leads into everything else because it helps you progress in different spiritual directions as you go through
Definitely.
them.
The book literally says we know only but a little.
Mm,
More will be revealed. Like the book, the wisdom that actually can create being clean or sober still admits that it's just the beginning of like what we could possibly
mm,
learn and how we can grow from this process. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Um, Should I go?
Yeah, you need to answer your own question.
I want to fun. I say so. What did you just say that made me laugh? About the relapsing, having like, oh, I didn't really
Yeah.
do this. So, when I first attended this one group, there was a gentleman there who was really funny. He'd been going for a long, long time apparently, and I at least three or four times I heard him say like, I see all these young people coming in and like they just seem like they're really grasping it and like doing so well. And he's like, I think to myself, like, maybe I should do a set of these steps. And it's like, what? Like he was basically admitting, like, I've never done this and I've been coming here for years. And then there's people that are like halfway through after like a few months and they're already their soul being restored, because you can't move your world from the outside, man. So yeah, something needs to be required to take a look at that.
I saw a guy take 36 years this winter, and he didn't do his first set of steps for the first 10 years. And
I mean, God love him, but I don't know if that
I
would
was
be anything I would recommend.
I was like, wow. I'm like, so you were straight white knuckle suffering until for that period of time, you know?
Yeah, that's like almost maybe it was awful, but maybe it was also like a little mini miracle where he'll probably have some moment where even though he probably didn't get that inner awakening, maybe he could look back and say something was really looking after me and that could
Yeah.
connect with the higher power. Who knows?
Mm.
But for myself, I would say anything after step one was not really an option for me until somebody told me the truth about what I was dealing with. Um, I knew I had a problem. I knew sort of I had never used the word powerless. I knew that I was deeply effed when it came to alcohol. Unmanageable, and really taking a real good look at that. But quickly upon reflection, it was those words just was like, boom, that is so unmanageable. Like, I never thought that I would ever do that, or I can't believe that I chose that for myself, or that I keep ending up in these situations. So once I admitted and said yes to the process, I didn't balk at any of them. I gratefully and willingly did the 4 and the 5. The 6 and the 7 was easy because of the 4 and the 5. I mean, I'm still doing them. We know that you don't just do it and then it's done. But in other words, actually going through the process and then the amends, like I thank God I just like went for it and I got so much out of it. I got so much out of the 8 and 9. I was just like, oh, I was so willing to make sense, to be honest. They say like, you do like now, maybe never, something like that. Like I'm willing to now. I have to think about that, and like I can never do that. I had none like that. I'm so
Mm.
lucky. Like I was willing, and I've heard some really amazing amends stories as well. Like shit that you're just like, oh my god, like just results where like somebody thought the person was going to tell them to like f off and never talk again, and they end up like inviting them in, and like some wild stuff can happen. Um, anyway, so yeah, no, there was never one that I was willing to do, but prior to understanding the real facts of number one, I wouldn't have never even looked at the rest of them.
Yeah.
Like never have looked at it. Yeah.
And that was because of your gift of desperation? Or what do
Yeah,
you feel was the
and definitely. And then also the sheer blessing of having met someone that was willing to do the work with me.
nice?
Like if I know for a fact, I know for a fact, if all
Mm.
that desperation stuff hadn't happened, I never would have gone to a place where people know how to deal with this stuff. And if I had never gone to the place, I never would have met the person. And if I met the person who took me through the steps, I never would have ever stopped. And I know for a fact that if I had only gone to 3, I never would have stayed. And if I had done 4 and 5, I never would have been able to stay stopped. And it goes on and on and on. Like there's, I know I would never have been able to stop.
One saying I learned this winter is if you don't finish your four, you'll drink your fifth.
I feel like it saved my life for.
Yeah, and a lot of people, though, a lot of people, that's where their relapses and troubles happen.
I agree. I've
Okay,
I've
I've got a
actually,
really long
yeah,
one
go ahead.
here for you. You got a really long one. Get yourself comfortable in your chair. Here we go. When we treat happiness as a spiritual principle, we can see its relationship to humility. Our ability to enjoy our lives is directly related to our willingness to let go of our self obsession. If we think of happiness as a spiritual asset, we can see it both as a gift and a goal. We work towards it by letting go of things that we can see standing in its way and leave the rest to a power greater than ourselves. Have you seen these sort of changes within you actually be the real changes necessary for you to live principled in your life? So I'll repeat that question because I fucked it up. Have you seen these sort of changes within you actually be the real changes necessary for you to live principled in your life?
Hmm. Yeah, I do have something that bubbled up. That's
Yep.
a really good question. I've heard many different things about happiness, like that happiness is shouldn't be a goal. Like I actually got to a point where I was looking to be more peaceful than happy because of how happy is like water in your hands, like you got to hold your hands so tight and try not to drip any out. And like I like the fact that things are temporary. It helps me detach from things always remaining the way I need them to be to feel okay about my own life. Like you're getting gnarly, buddy. Like this last year has changed me forever. Like I will never, ever, ever be the same. I've lost friends. I've lost a relationship. I walked away from my job. I have said goodbye to so many friends. Like I lived in the country by myself through like harshest winter in like 30 years up here, and like ice storm came in, and like I still don't even know what I'm doing, but I am literally casting that line into the step three pond every day, man. And I
Well,
don't even
you're
know if I'm on the
defined
right
by the
track.
ice now. You're defined by the ice.
Crystallized. The uh, I love happiness. So what came to mind when you first read the question is I had this really bad habit of always wanting to add to things. And it not like more, more, more like I need more, like I never had a lot of money or anything like that. So it was all like energy more, like faster, louder. Like I didn't want to go fishing and I had a lot to drink. Like I needed to add things to my discomfort, or like I needed to like change things just a little bit. And I think what happened was within a year or so, I remember one time, you'll laugh. I went to one of those like what do they call them, deprivation tanks where you float in
Yep.
like the pitch dark.
Mm.
I probably was like 6 or 7 months, and I'm just like in this pitch dark room floating in this water, and I'm like naked in this like pitch black little room with this weird water. I just remember thinking like, how did I get here? And I just realized like for like a decade before this moment, I never had a day where I was okay. Not one. I was either physically ill, neurotically anxious, racing mind, always wondered if I was going to have what I needed, financial problems, work was really hard. Like I felt like shit constantly. And I'm sitting in this tank footing, and I was like fairly peaceful, and I was like, no, this is weird. Like how did I get here? And it was because I had started like changing and like stopping how I was relating with life, like what gave my life meaning, what gave my life value. And I had sort of just stopped, and I had kind of tried to do the best I could with the process that we keep talking about. And like, I don't know, it was just a really funny moment. And I realized like, I don't really need anything specific. I just need to be calm. I need to like be, I need to live a trusting, loving, open life and stop trying to add things to it before I consider myself happy. You know what I mean? And I've noticed that I'm way, way better at being present in social situations. I used to always want to leave. Like I always, unless I was drinking, I always wanted to leave. Whether I was at work, in a meeting, at someone's house, like I was always just like, I just don't want to be here right now. Like I always wanted to get out of wherever I was. I don't know why. I'm basically admitting I was not a well person. And I all of a sudden found myself being like calm and okay and happy to be where I was and like actually listening to other people and yeah, that like fear of needing to be somewhere else or of anyway, I don't know. I just became more comfortable being alive. And so when you've been that uncomfortable for that long, when you're even just being comfortable for like a few hours in a day is like a huge accomplishment and you become grateful for the most simple things, you know?
Mm.
So I guess I just went on a big spiel about like, I just became a lot more content with like nothing special. Just
Mm.
what was going on around me. Yeah.
It's really funny because, I created this question obviously from some readings there, but I thought about it myself actually while I was walking my dogs today. This one in particular, because I'm not sure if it's like happiness, contentment, or satisfaction. Like it's like I feel that I live in a state where I'm definitely more satisfied or content with the moment.
Yeah.
But is that happiness? Like there's a very fine line between
Yeah. Yeah.
between the transition of those. Like I'm not like like skipping and like woohoo, like Mary Poppins singing songs kind of thing. But the
Totally.
thing is that, you know, um, would I say that I'm living a happy life? You know, yes. Well, how am I basing that happiness? Like, what is my gauge for happiness? And it somehow comes out to contentment or satisfaction
Yeah.
with it. Like when you were saying, like you're seeking out peace versus happiness, right? It's like if I
Yeah.
find peace, then I'm happy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so
Yeah. It emanates from it.
but it's like they're not mutually exclusive for me. They're
I
like,
agree.
honestly, like if I'm just not getting overloaded with pain, I'm
Yeah.
pretty happy. I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, man.
Like 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 if it's just not like senseless like uh tests of surrender all day long. Like sometimes I get tired and sore in my heart, from
Of
from
course.
from from just over and over and over and over and over. Like, that I need a respite from my tests by the universe some
Yeah.
days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like and so even in those moments where, like for me, some people call their serenity a 5 out of 10. I call my serenity a 6 or 7. Like I just
Okay.
feel like serenity is just it's definitely past negative. Like it's a little bit past negative side of the scale for me. Like
Sure.
it is it entirely neutral? I don't feel like it is because when I have those moments, I am left with a positive feeling. Like that calmness when I look back at the moments, like, because I always say that I can generally recognize serenity after it's over. Because if I'm
Sure.
really there, I'm really present, and I'm not actually talking about it, thinking about it, doing it, right? And for me, it certainly feels like a positive experience. And so,
Yeah.
um, my willingness has led to an increase in the percentage of these moments occurring in my life. You know,
No
like
question.
go like putting my persistence in this program is paying for itself
No question.
with a change of my general overall perception in almost every moment. You know, like there's don't get me wrong, there's still hard moments, there's still moments
Oh,
where old Milan is right in town. But first of all, like, solution is never getting fucked up anymore. It is never even on the solution list.
yeah, exactly.
I'm never like, today was so shitty, I need to go get fucked up. Like, I don't see that as fun or as where I want to go, you know?
No,
And like, quite honest, I don't even see it as like the celebration. Like, when something good is happening, it's like I actually just want to go and like be outside with my dogs, or I want to make
right?
another song to release what's going on in my thought process to the
No
universe,
question.
or even just being on this here today. You know,
Oh,
like man, doing these podcasts is a gift that changes my day every time I do it.
I believe you, and I know that I feel the same way when I join you. I don't think it's that complicated once you see it like a few times. It's like there's a really, really big difference between having healthy self esteem and living out of your ego. They're hugely different and they could be
Yeah,
easily misinterpreted or confused. And it's only you that knows that inside yourself. Because the second someone exhibits confidence, it's like, oh, he's full of his own shit. It's like, no, maybe he's just like finally feeling okay about himself or herself and like I
I'm just
also,
having fun being me, and it doesn't depend on you as much anymore.
yeah.
You
And
know?
so we find the boundaries between self and other and realize the limitations to affect or be affected by the other. And
Mhm.
that's huge because then we can untangle ourselves and like that also kind of works in that how we're internalizing other and how it affects us. And then the other main thing is the faith. That's literally what it is for me. Healthy self esteem didn't get fucked up today. That alone makes me feel like a decent person compared to who I used to be. And if I do something that is like of some value and I'm like treating my body well, I'm like actually enjoying some of the world around me, you can go to sleep that night feeling decent. And then the main thing is the faith, because that leaves me leaving that in the hands of a power greater than myself, knowing that anything's possible. We were hopeless, we were beaten down, and we found a solution. So I think there's probably solutions to a lot of things that we consider, you know, what are they called? Like these tragedies in life. And then I honestly think that each individual will have to face themselves at some point in time, and it's usually through pain, humiliation, or desperation. These stubborn people, including me, finally say, maybe there's something else to this. And I trust and have faith that that will happen for everybody in their own time. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. So I just think that that's a good way to stay a little closer to happiness or peace or serenity.
I've definitely had the experience myself that my greatest tragedies have been huge lessons in my life, but
Yeah,
impossible to see, sometimes even for years.
totally.
So, do you have another question for me, Mr. BW? Or, I'm sorry, Ice Baby.
I never ever in my life imagined that I'd be like super excited about being called Ice.
But you know what? When JJ started referring it to like it was like a normal name, like, he
The
didn't know
way he
whether to
did
call
it
you
too.
Storm or Ice. But when he called you Ice, it sounded so cool. I was like, man, he
It
just
was
became Ice Storm.
it was wild.
Like,
I
it
felt
was
like I
like,
got it. I felt like I got initiated that day.
yeah, he was like, hey, Ice. Like, when Ice said this, I really loved what he said, and I was like,
Such a
yes,
warm embrace. I
yeah,
felt like he and I had fought in like a war together somewhere.
you did for sobriety.
All right, my friend.
Okay. Oh,
Okay.
by the way, did I mention today that I love you?
I don't think you have yet.
Oh, I love Ice, I love Storm, I love BW, and I love Bryant.
That's pretty nice. I love you too.
I love all the crazy sides of you.
it's so funny that you see these things. I don't see them, but I appreciate it. Okay, how does
Man, I can't wait till you guys have a tornado.
something's coming?
I'm gonna be
Something's
like,
coming.
whoa, tornado. Oh boy, that's gonna be a good one. Tony Tornado.
Tornado. What will the topic be?
The swirling mess of our lives and the eye of the hurricane.
Oh, that is some quick wit. The swirling mess of our lawn. You
And
should see outside. There's tree branches down everywhere. It's gnarly.
see, the storm is still defining you.
It is. Well, I've tried to clean it up a little bit. Why can't I read this? It says, "How does willingness? Um, where does your strength? Willing, where does your? Oh, okay. So now, when if the concept of like willing to go to any length,
Yep.
and you're feeling down or scared,
Mm.
when fear is running the show, what are some of the things, or is there something you tend to do that will push you to keep going to any length?
Well, I mean, they always say play the tape to the end.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
And I swear, though, it's not the way that my tape rolls, man. It's like I've got the automatic CD skip, dying, dying, dying. Like I don't have to kind of be afraid of something. I don't have to like
So yours is
remember
like a
the.
flash flood to death.
It's like boom, nope, not going there. Boom, not going there. Boom, boom, boom. Shit, man, I don't want that. Bah.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, it really is also too feeling how different my life is on a regular basis, and like everything that is here is based on the actions and the choices I've made in the last 18 months. Like, and I can't imagine wanting to lose all that for a moment of inebriation.
Oh
Like,
man.
there's just like the scales of life are just so far on this side, and it's like as life gets better and better and better, like I said, like my willingness is increasing, not decreasing. My willingness is increasing to have a tighter program, to take a deeper look at myself, see where the things aren't going right for me, like to be part of something like this podcast, to talk to more people when I'm at a meeting, to go to more meetings, like, I mean, my in person meeting attendance right now is at an all time high. Like I did a
Nice.
lot of online ones and the Monday night one when I was first coming out of options. But I've just
Mhm.
decided that from going down to Mexico and going to some of these other tiny meetings, I realized that meetings are what you make them, not what
I
they
agree
are
with
when
that.
you arrive. And so, you can go to a meeting and be like a little pissy bitch and be like, oh, the meeting's not any good. I'm not getting any recovery at this meeting. Well, how much recovery are you
Yeah.
giving with that attitude of indifference? The attitude of indifference is what will keep you sick.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. So, I mean, for myself,
That's good to hear.
yeah, my
Yeah,
willingness
that
is
makes a
like
lot of sense.
I'm like Rocky after like I'm on the beach with Apollo Creed and I'm running in the sand and I got like my little mesh football shirt on and we're like running and I like finally beat Apollo Creed. I'm about to go back in the ring with Clubber Lang, man. And he's like, I'm gonna bust you up. Go for it. That's what it's
Nice.
like. I'm like Rocky 3.
It's very relatable what you just said. So some of the more challenging times that I've encountered, um, you turn it up a notch, right? And like you're not using it, you're utilizing it. It's like, yeah, like when I first got injured and my physical health was all thrown off and I lost my ability to do the job I cherished, which is like not very common. I was so devastated, and I found myself going to like three, maybe more a week. I started hanging out with a lot of older guys that had been doing this for a long time, like had the mentor. um I don't know, whatever it takes, right, to get through it. That's what I was told. Whatever it takes, that's the message that it comes through for me. And also, like, yeah, I've had a few times where I was out of sorts, but working with someone else, helping someone else got me out of that. Really is true. This whole getting out of yourself thing is very real. Um,
Service, man. Boom.
I'm not gonna lie, man. When I was working at Options, I almost at one point was so raw that I was wondering if it was even like good idea to be helping other people. And it was like a lifesaver. Not only was I showing up to work, but I was getting the beauty of what we do there is pretty special. It's not just it's not mechanical, and I think it saved my ass, to be honest. Like
Yeah.
having that gig when I had that gig was like an incredibly important thing at that point. So, and it wasn't the only reason I was even at that gig was because of this.
Mm.
I would not have been working there otherwise. I promise that. And so, what do I do when I'm running out of strength to continue being willing?
Mm.
Usually, I call someone that I trust, or I just do some of the obvious things like go sit in a meeting, or you know go continue working with that other person or whatever. I mean, there's a time and a place to be self-reflective and take some space, but yeah, it's really really cool how much is available to like nuzzle into when you don't know what else to do. I recall, quick story, I went Christmas Day once. It's just my wife and I, and we didn't go home that year. And I was like, "Do you care if I go for like 1 hour?" I'm like, "We got the whole day. We're gonna have such a nice night. I'm just gonna pop over. It's 3 minutes up the road, and I'm gonna sit with these people for an hour." And she was like, "I don't mind." And I'm like, "Okay, that's pretty amazing." And then I called my mom. I was like, "I'm going to a meeting." And she's like, "What? It's Christmas. And like, why would you do that?" And I'm like, "Do you remember what happened 3 years ago? Like, remember when I was like so messed up and you thought I was going to die and you were like crying and asking me, begging me to stop drinking? Like, do you remember that?" Anyway, I'm saying this like almost a little cocky, but like, that's why I'm going on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah, I was part of the marathon meeting for my online group at Christmas this year. I was like, this is why I'm able to have Christmas with my family.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like gratitude's in action.
And it was radical, man. I got to have that cool meeting. There's another lady there bawling her eyes out because her family like made her feel bad for coming. And she was like, "I need to be here," and everyone in the room understood what she meant.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you
It's pretty
ready
cool.
for another question, Mr. B Dubs?
Anxiously awaiting.
Ooh, anxiousness. Well, you know that enthusiasm turns into anxiousness. Okay, that means you're very.
Enthusiastic awaiting.
Yes. Okay, there's a saying in recovery that as we keep going, the road narrows. That's partly true. Our willingness to make the same old mistakes diminishes, and we know better than to act on our impulses much of the time. Has your recovery brought you to a place where you act out on your impulses less? How or how not?
Yes. That's an amazing question. Impulses were the expression of the underlying issue. I basically couldn't say no. And
Hmm.
now I say no constantly. The beast is real. The dragon is sleeping. The the lower half of me still is alive and well. The the thoughts that sometimes provoked me to reaching out for the wrong solution still come in here. And like people still tell me I'm the old me. And some people um, still bring out old feelings about old things that have, there's been several ice storms since those things
Several.
since those things occurred. So yeah, it's profound how much I don't do things I used to do. The thing that I used to say is like my motives changed. So I'm no longer motivated by the things that made me try to get what I want right now for whatever reason. I need this now, or like, and it has to happen in the next few days, or um those like mini things that you think will bring you happiness, like we were talking about. And so to impulse control now, I feel like one of the best things that's happened is there's like an ability to reflect prior to taking action, you know? Like before I would just do it, and now I I am a little bit better at giving myself a little bit of time before I make decisions that could have an impact. And I think that the likelihood of making a bit better of a decision, or maybe not responding to something, like there's been, I'd say one of the most like important things that's happened is how I communicate with people now. Um, Before it was like, got to teach this person, they can't talk to me like that. Um, I've gotten a little bit better through being shown great examples of people that have prayed for outcomes. I know this one gentleman, he had this wild relationship with his sister, and he just prayed for years. He's like, please take this bondage of self. Please help me see her the way you see her. Help me to um, no longer hold on to these resentments. And it helps, man, and it works. That's a Harry God box prayer. Toss the sister in the box, and he got amazing results, and it inspired me. And I'm trying really hard to, I think that works really well with relationships, the patience, and praying for yourself and other people. And like what I think is really cool is they make it very clear early on, like people perceive when we want things from them. They recoil, like we're all very energetic beings that like are very perceptive of each other. And like we know when somebody wants us, we know when someone doesn't want us around. You know what I mean? And like it's so easy to get wrapped up in that. So what's my motivation? Is it worth it? Am I willing to deal with the consequences of taking action, positive or negative? And I've just really gotten better at knowing like maybe not, and giving things a little more space between potentially doing something I will regret later.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah.
So, has my recovery brought me to a place where I act out on my impulses less? How or how not? Well, obviously with substances.
Okay.
Obviously, like I mean, I have not acted out once. So in 18 months, like
Yeah.
pretty much in 2 months, that will be the longest since I was 14.
Bird.
Well, anyway, but I mean, yeah, I guess probably if you include sugar. But
Yeah.
but it's uh it's a progressive thing where there's some things where I know that I'm definitely not acting as impulsively, but there still is moments. It's
Yeah.
definitely a progress situation versus an on-off light switch situation.
Yeah.
Like I have so many things now that I have an awareness of that I didn't have an awareness of, and I would call it like glimmers of good action, but still, not entirely harnessing that beast or not entirely surrendering it. And that's such an up and down thing. And, even to control my impulsive reaction to my
Yeah.
impulsive reaction.
Ooh.
You
That's what
know,
I'm talking about. Yeah,
like, am I getting mad at myself for getting mad?
exactly.
You know,
And you
and
probably are.
oh, I definitely am. I definitely am.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to. I'm now have this crazy invention called the Harry God box, and I put things into it. I put things into it, and some of them I'm really fastidious about not like not taking back, because I'm
Yeah.
like some things I forget that I put them in there, and then I'm like, oh shit, I just stuck my hand in the
Yeah.
box, I just stuck my hand in Harry's God box, but but
Flaming chariot.
I should not have my hand in that box at any moment.
Oh
No,
no,
uh,
it's a sealed deal. Those ones.
but overall, it's given me the tools to see even when like I had a big list of justified actions before. And
Totally. Yeah.
so a lot of my actions were kind of like, let's call it part of a script. You know, it was like you did this, I was justified to react like that, and it was over fast. Like it was over fast. You did this, I did that, and it's like this and that, and it was like And when I had my justified reactive moments, like I wasn't even looking for my part in it. I wasn't
That's what,
even seeing if I was any part in it because
exactly.
there's the I deserve a certain kind of treatment. I deserve for
Totally.
you to be like this. And that was all over my life. So that just like, I created so many impulsive responses that it's going to
Yes.
take me the rest of my life to start pulling them apart and making sure, like what is true survival and what is just my will.
Totally.
Yeah. And
You know
so
what's an
there's,
amazing line? This is the craziest line, and I think it's the ultimate goal.
woo, ultimate. Everybody put on your big ears.
Well, they say we stop fighting anyone or anything.
Yes.
Like that is a lifelong commitment to something that is really hard to not do or
Yeah,
hard to do. Yeah.
absolutely.
Because I know like the amount of times upon reflecting back, like I'm like, oh my gosh, like did I really need to get involved in that? Or like, did I really need to say that? Or like, did that change anything? Or like, is our relationship stronger because I said that? Like, probably not.
Do you want to be
Maybe.
right or do you want to be happy?
Moose,
Woo.
moose antlers.
Okay. Now we've got the moose, the icy moose
The
storm.
icy moose. Icy
Icy
moose. I
moose
like it.
storm. IMS. Okay, you
How
got a
are we
question for
doing?
me?
Yeah, I have one last question.
Okay, cool.
It's very clear cut here.
Okay.
Did having a sponsor make you more willing or accountable?
Yes and no. Um, my first sponsor experience, we just weren't on the same page for where we were going to meet. I had a very hard time
Okay.
meeting in a public place. Uh, I
Uh-huh.
I tried to address this like I can't do like step work in a Starbucks with the music going and all the people there and everything like that. Like my brain is just too I can't shut sound off. Like that's one of my assets for making music, but it's also one of my struggles as a person in life in crowded situations is that I
Right.
can hear all the conversations. My brain tries to absorb them all. And then when I'm looking at you, I'm only getting about a tenth of what you're saying because I'm in nine other conversations.
Got it.
So that really slowed me down. But after I stopped with him, I kind of stepped up my own step work game, but like, had a idiot for a sponsor, which was me for 2 months. And then I got my now sponsor and he's definitely brought about a lot of willingness in me, like I want, first of all, you know, I want to be the good pupil. I want to be the good
Yeah,
pupil,
exactly.
and it makes me accountable. But also,
Mhm.
too, like we just have such cool conversations
Yeah,
that, it inspires me to want to be there. You know, like,
amazing.
I think I had to cancel on one of our appointments, and we'll be coming up on a year at the end of this month. So that's pretty good.
That's a nice. That's a good run.
Yeah. And for you?
Yeah, so I that just sort of came through when I was thinking about what to talk about because like I do really believe that unless I had that person, I said it earlier in the chat, like I wouldn't have known what to do first of all, and I wouldn't have done it because I wouldn't have had someone checking in to see if I was doing it. I have just going to admit that I have no trouble admitting that if I didn't have that accountability and that guidance, sayonara, not here.
No, no B
I
dubs.
no, I
You would have been a melted puddle, not ice, baby.
yeah, there'd be a spill on the floor there, bruh.
The
And
stain, baby.
yes, yeah, the wilted sheet. I have no idea what I'm talking about. But yeah, so this the the that was amazing because I'll admit it, man. I loved reporting back. I loved it. I loved being like, yep, I went to a
Mm,
meeting on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Look at how well I'm doing because I was still being guided by fear, insecurity, low self esteem, and my ego. I was. But
mm,
like I have compassion for myself because at least I was taking action, which eventually led to experiential change, which allowed me to then drop the act a little more and see the value in just doing this because it's necessary rather than make my sponsor happy. But at the beginning, it was part of the ingredients, and it thank God, you know.
yeah, absolutely. Whatever
So
gets you
it did
going
help.
is, like, who cares?
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that, anybody out there who's new is that your experience isn't going to be anybody else's.
it's true.
Whatever keeps you sober, stick with it.
Yeah,
Stick with it.
exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
I want you alive rather than like me.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, I got
I
two
like that.
questions left.
Okay.
Do we want to do them full form or do we want to do them like lightning round?
I'm easy. I like lightning, but I'm easy.
Okay, so I'm gonna do it 2 minutes on each just to see because I like when the timer goes, and I felt like it made for some really fun stuff the other day.
It also pays homage to how good you are um at doing this.
Okay, so I'll read the question, then I'll start the timer. We got 2 minutes on the clock here, Ice Baby. Our willingness and humility show as a genuine desire to do better, no matter how well we're doing. Not because we have something to prove, but because we care. Has this been your experience? How or how not?
Definitely has been mine. I always say salvation is not in the future, and you can't rest on previous accomplishments as your current reason for feeling like accomplished, right? I think that like these two agendas serve us not well. I want today to be the place I find my solution, and I can't rest on my previous solution. This is getting a little like like getting at it, but it's a fact. So, oh man, I just totally hypnotized myself. Throw it at me.
What?
Throw me the question.
Okay. Has this been has this been your experience? How or how not? You need the whole question again. Our willingness and humility show a genuine desire to do better, no matter how well we're doing. Not because we have
Yeah,
something to prove, but because we care. Has this been your experience? How or how not?
yeah, yeah. Sorry, but the willingness needs to be there. The humility changes. I think that okay. basically what I've come to recognize is that you are not guaranteed no problem. So I'll be frank with you. If I didn't have the willingness over the last year, I would have perished. I would not have been able to deal with the pain, the confusion, and the fear and the change. It would have been overwhelming, and I would have relied on previous solutions, which was substance, people, unhealthy things. And like, thank God, when the storm comes, when the ice lands on the tree and the branches get weighed down, before they snap, you know, I don't know what you do, but I thank God had a lot of people in my corner to help me. Yeah, time's up.
Lightning round means lightning round. No, no
Yeah, I
run
like
on
it.
lightning rounds. Okay, here we go. Okay, so for me, I feel like I am now doing the steps required for me in recovery because I want to honestly improve myself. Like the
Yeah,
humility and the willingness come together for me in actually being able to, for once, honestly see what I need to change and not giving up on making those changes. It's not easy. It is not easy. Nobody said, hey, this is super easy. We make it look fun. Why? Because that what you focus on becomes greater. And in my life, you know, my serenity growing, my recovery growing is where I want to focus. So, like anybody who is in a pattern of growth in their life, is going to have some uncomfortability. But what happens is for me, is that there is a series of literal bits of growth that are actually actualizable, whether it's in a
yes, yes,
sentence, whether it's in my action, whether it's in other people's reaction to me. Like
yeah,
I'm not basing my happiness on your reaction, but I'm certainly evaluating some of the results of my socializing by how you're
of course.
reacting. Because,
That's well said.
like, are you actually feeling loved? Are you feeling understood? Well, that is a result of my willingness to keep working on myself. So
Mm-hmm.
it all boils down to that willingness creates that discipline, which brings me to the door of freedom, and I'm leaving it there.
That was beautiful.
Okay, now here we go. Even when we share our lives with others, our willingness to fulfill our responsibility to ourselves determines our ability to feel love and be satisfied with our lives. It's the integrity with which we live our lives that is important. How has willingness brought an integrity to the way you live your life? Go.
Oh man, I require. Oh, this gets really hard because you end up sounding like you're some person that's got it all together. I do not, but I'm doing way better, and I love that about this because like it is actually so cool how much better I respond to challenges and like between you and me, when I that simple thing, like it's like I was hurting myself way more than anyone else. It's like I don't want to hurt myself anymore. That's what I like to say. It's like I can make mistakes and things can happen, but like if I am consciously harming myself, we have a problem. And like the only reason you would do that is because there's aspects of yourself you're still rejecting because you're not able to be with them. So I'm inviting it in, and sometimes it's very hard. I'm like, oh, please, like, just so uncomfortable. And I didn't even know I was going to have to do this. But life circumstances will show you where these blemishes still remain. And it's not personal, it's not something that I did wrong. It's that now that I'm in this discomfort, not because I'm being punished, because life happens, life on life's terms. When somebody hurts you because of something you did, are you going to throw your entire life, like light the whole forest on fire? Or are you going to just like sit with it, feel it? What's my part? How could I have contributed to this? And once you untangle that, you let that other person make their own mistakes. You appreciate yourself for what you were trying to do or bring to the table, and hopefully move on to another day. But the key is being able to be uncomfortable and not take it personally or think of it as punishment. Like invite the blemish, and then hope that you can grow from it. Yeah.
Woo, drop the mic. Look at BW coming in for a massive final lightning round. Woo. He just shed the ice, baby. He's back to BW right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Even when we share our lives with others, our willingness to fulfill our responsibility to ourselves determines our ability to feel love and be satisfied with our lives. It's the integrity with which we live our lives that is important. How has willingness brought an integrity to the way you live your life? Bang. So for myself, there really wasn't an honest approach to growth and evolution in my life. You know, like on one hand, I'm killing myself. On the other hand, I'm like, hey, I'm actually, trying to exhibit some kind of fitness that was like a complete lie, or like I'm being really nice while I lie to you. Like, it's like, it's just, there wasn't integrity in that. And,
Think about it.
for me, my dedication to my program is exhibited by the way that I show up every single day. Like I could not wait to get on this podcast today. Why? Because it's part of my program and I couldn't wait to talk recovery. Like I was like bugging him. I'm like, let's go early. Come on, come on. He's like, man, give me 15 minutes. And I was like, how about 14? but the reality is, for me, I need to have that integrity in order to be able to have self-acceptance. And without that
Yeah.
self-acceptance, I'm not going to be able to display love in my life. Like
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to share my life with you if I can't stand me. And so without that
Yeah.
willingness, like that willingness creates the Milan who shows up every day with some discipline to keep going in this program. And that creates an integrity between my goals and my actions and my personage. And for
Yeah.
once, I can finally say, hey, you know what? I'm pretty proud of what I'm doing. I'm pretty proud of who I'm trying to become. Not who I've become,
Yeah.
but who I'm trying to become. And if
Yeah.
you just have some patience and acceptance with me, I guarantee I'll be better tomorrow than I am today because I love you and I'm trying to love me too. Boom, done.
That was rad.
And God, the lightning round is almost should be every time. Like the lightning
There's got to be
round,
at least a few flashes of lightning.
I think like it should be the last four questions every time because there's something about it that just makes it. It's like fluff cutting, cutting off fluff. I am
It's
really
true.
happy I was here with you today. Would you like to say something to everybody before we head out, B Dubs or Mr. Ice Baby? I think BW is back. I think he's
I
back.
think he's back.
Yeah.
Ooh, that was nice though. What I would say is I like how much a word can be integrated into like a very important fact of this recovery process. You know, it's like, oh yeah, I'm willing. It's like that's a big word. It's the
It's a
same
huge word.
when this gentleman said he's like just so you know because there was this and I'm glad because I've had the same thing when I've been trying to work with other people like I got to get through, I got to get through, I got to get done the steps, we got to do the steps, got to do steps, and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna do steps, but like fearless and thorough. This gentleman was like, just so we're clear, you have to do these every day for the rest of your life, you don't just do them once. And that's when I was like, and like that rush to get everything done kind of kind of went away, and I got to really lean in and focus on the fact that this is stuff that doesn't just happen once. And so you got to be willing because you got to keep up with it. You got to know that when it feels like it's not working, it is, and when you don't feel like working, you should.
Ooh. Boom, 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 boom,
I've
boom.
Yeah.
That was the sound of the mic skipping across the floor. Boom, 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 boom.
I've never said that before. I don't even.
I
Anyhow,
love that. I love that. And honestly, for myself, like for myself, it's just like if you're not feeling willing,
yeah.
what lies are you starting to tell yourself? Because that's what it is. It's like, how am I not needing this anymore? Like, because yesterday my life was important to me. And if my life depends on my willingness being active, how am I not challenging myself? What lies am I saying to myself? What aren't I doing that I used to do that kept me inspired?
Yeah.
Because, you know, like this program is not like you don't pay a tutor and they come and then you get a mark every 6 months. You know, this program is really self-run. And you're the only
It is.
one, you know, like see who you are when no one's around, really, is something
Yeah.
I like to say. And it's just like your program is really what you run when nobody's looking. So with that, I'm going to say that I love BW. I love Ice Baby. I love Mr. Storm. I love Bryant. And I love you guys out there. So tune in next time for more recovery fun. Bye-bye, everybody. I love you like to the moon.
Please help
and
us
back.
help others. If you like what you've seen here today, please subscribe and share this podcast and help us get to 100 followers. We're looking for interaction with our audience. So please email recoveryfreedomrising@gmail.com or contact Milan South Okanagan Starcic on Facebook with questions, topic suggestions, or just comments. We'd love to hear from you.